Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What do you think of Donld Trump backtracking on Jeffery Epstein? I think a tweet summed it up nicely. You said you had the list. If you backtrack and don't release it, it's because of one of two reasons. You lied about having it. You're on it. Here are some of the Epstein files: https://josh.net/epsteinlist/gov.usecourts.nist.447706.1320.0 combined.pdf verified court documents https://josh.net/epsteinlist/black-book-unredacted.pdf verified pre-Bondi other Epstein information https://acrobat.adobe.com/id:/id:/us:6204251 9-130B-499-id:/517-452D834A-E1B57D5E923F. Here's a court doc of Epstein and Trump raping a 13-year-old together. Some people think this case was a hoax. Here is a video of her testimony. https://www.bing.com/videos/riverview/related video ? Q equals Katie plus Johnson plus TV plus interview and mid equals B36 Beb 810557117C6280 B36 Beb 810557117C6280 and form equals via. He's 100% on that list. All over it, like some kind of mushroom genital rash. He is clearly on the list. Seriously, why else would there be this much pushback? If you're not on it, release it and prove it. If you don't do that, you're proving that you are. This isn't a difficult conclusion. It really is a classic example of if you have nothing to hide, why not prove it or show it? The argument that you don't feel you have to just makes you look more guilty. Way more guilt. Trump had Epstein killed. He was in office at the time. He has a widely documented history both with Epstein and of criminal behavior. 2 cameras didn't record, a third was mysteriously corrupted, his cellmate was removed hours before, evidence of a previous suicide attempt was lost, the guards falsified records, a forensic pathologist hired by Epstein's brother found the injuries were more consistent with homicidal strangulation. All of these coincidences for undoubtedly one of the highest profile cases in recent history. I just don't buy it. Call me a conspiracist, but I reckon he had him killed. He has the motive, the ability and the history of deceitful and criminal behavior. He was the president FFS, he absolutely had the capability to have arranged all the above. Democrats should be talking about nothing else except this. Don't forget Trump gave a sweet job to the prosecutor that let Epstein get away with it for so long. Alex Acosta. If you've ever actually researched the Epstein case, it isn't surprising. Trump let Epstein take victims to Mar-a-Lago. Of course he's on the list. One victim claims she was recruited from Mar-a-Lago. The late Virginia Roberts Giuffre was working as a pool attendant at Mar-a-Lago when she was recruited into Epstein's employ. She was a perfect target, young, pretty, making little money and had a less than ideal situation at home. How many others were there who declined the offer or got out? I realize most of this is common knowledge to folks who've been paying attention, but if you're asking a question like this, you'll probably get a few folks who haven't been paying attention, so here goes. Trump and Epstein were close friends. There are dozens, if not hundreds of photos of them together. This isn't AI fakery or anything like that. These photos have been public knowledge for years before AI image generation was possible, and before Photoshop made faking images like this fairly trivial. Trump is in Epstein's flight logs. Again, this isn't questionable, it's been public knowledge for ages. But what about? I don't care. A lot of people don't care. If Clinton was in Epstein's flight logs, he should be investigated also. Same with Bill Gates. Same with Prince Andrew. Same with Trump. For some reason, a lot of folks on the right think, if he's on my team, I need to fight against any investigations into him. But that's not how everyone thinks. A good number of people, not enough, believe that if someone's credibly accused of rape and trafficking of minors, they should be investigated and then prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, regardless of personal connections, fame, political party, etc. It doesn't matter who else is credibly accused. Investigate and prosecute all of them. Ghislaine Maxwell's also been photographed being super friendly with Elon. Investigate him too. Not everyone who's ever been to Jeffrey Epstein's house, or photographed with him or Maxwell is guilty of rape and child sex trafficking. But everyone who has been connected with them absolutely should be investigated to the fullest extent possible. Presumed innocent until some proof is found. But even then, I think it's totally reasonable to say that being on Epstein's flight list * and being friends with Jeffrey Epstein is enough reason to avoid all of those people. They may not be rapists, but they're friends with known rapists. Or in Trump's case, he may be an adjudicate rapist, but being good friends with a known child sex trafficker is a problem. It doesn't make Trump a child rapist, but it makes it very likely given the circumstances and his history that he was. And that may not be enough for a court of law, but it should be enough for most people to behave differently around him and his brand. Long and short of it, I think Bondi burying the Epstein list is obvious political manipulation done to protect the president, who's an adjudicate rapist and friends with a known child sex trafficker and rapist. I don't imagine that they've destroyed every bit of evidence. I know there are very, very powerful folks who have a lot of means whose continued good life depends on this stuff never seeing the light of day. But there were too many people involved. It'll crack eventually, and when it does, may it take down every single person that participated. Everyone. I don't care. A lot of people don't care. If Clinton was in Epstein's flight logs, he should be investigated also. Same with Bill Gates. Same with Prince Andrew. Same with Trump. For some reason, a lot of folks on the right think, if he's on my team, I need to fight against any investigations into him. But that's not how everyone thinks. A good number of people, not enough, believe that if someone's credibly accused of rape and trafficking of minors, they should be investigated and then prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, regardless of personal connections, fame, political party, etc. It doesn't matter who else is credibly accused. Investigate and prosecute all of them. This is really important. Because of our political spectrum's movements and the Republicans' utter embrace of Trumpism, I'm now solidly voting Democrat and probably will for the rest of my life. I need all of MAGA to hear this. If there are Democrats on this list, I want them investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, if they committed any crimes. Politics today is about values, and I think we should all condemn anyone who preys on children, regardless of party affiliation. This should be a given, but it's bizarrely not. The Democratic Party forced a popular senator to resign over a hover hands photo taken years before he ever ran for political office. There are multiple other cases of well-known Democrats being kicked out of the party and never rehabilitated. Republicans think the party that condemns their people over mere problems of image are going to protect people who committed crimes against underage children. Please, Democrats will prep the gallows themselves if a Democrat is found to have done the deed. Republicans believe Democrats will protect their own, because it's what Republicans do and are doing now with Trump. Because he's guilty of sex trafficking with Epstein OBV, under the guise of purchasing the Miss Universe organization, which includes Miss Universe, Miss USA and Miss Teen. He openly bragged about walking around backstage while contestants, some minors, were getting undressed. I think it's absolutely adorable that all these MAGA people really did think he was gonna release it. Like, you can see the shock and how long it's taken to get them back to their approved talking points. Bless their little hearts, they actually thought he'd do it. Yep, they thought that surely because he wants to release the files he couldn't be in them, when in reality he's built a fortune on lying, stalling, and misdirection. What's sadder is they'll all forget because he'll move on to something else and they'll move on with him. Right, this is the whole point of easy splashy shit like renaming the Gulf of Mexico. It's all misdirection. Exactly. There's some outcry now about him not releasing it, but they'll all fall in line with him within a couple months. They're fucking stupid. Because he is a rapist who has rapist friends and is a rapist sympathizer. Conservative currently in a nutshell. Lol, the grew-up conservatives are wrestling with the MAGA conservatives and it's beautiful. To anyone who hasn't visited that sub in a while, go ahead and take a peek because it's been very interesting these past few days. I mean, it's pretty obvious Donald Trump is on the list. Trump is clearly a pedo and we've known it for over a decade. Oh, we've known it for close to 4 decades. It's why early on in his run-up he brought up the catchphrase, fake news, since he knew publicity over the years would catch up to him. Anybody surprised by this has not been paying attention for the last 40 years. Americans would have never voted for him if they knew who he was 40 years ago. His father was a bigwig in the KKK. Trump refused to rent to people of color. He was fined, sued, charged and lost. He ruined good families by not paying them for their services. He hated paying for any services. He goes to charity balls for photo ops only, doesn't donate. So much adulterer and lies. Hence, that's why New York named him Don the Con. He always reminded me of a carnival barker. Americans know all of this and voted for him anyway. Twice. Never, ever, underestimate the stupidity of the American electorate. I don't think I hold the same faith in Americans anymore. Pretty sure they all voted for him this time while basically knowing he'd probably do any and all of these things. We are not a good country anymore. He is the Epstein files. There's so much compromising material in there that Republicans can't release any redacted version of it that would satisfy the public without implicating Trump. He is the Epstein files. Dude, what if it actually was literally just a log of how many times Trump had sex with young girls, and that's it, nobody else, just Trump? As unlikely as it is just Trump, I wouldn't be surprised. Those two were best buddies for a decade. That's the only conclusion I can come to. They spent all this time trying to find a reasonable way to release it without references to him removed, and now that they've reached a point where they don't see that as a viable option, there was no list. Trump only cares about Trump. The implications are obvious even to a MAGA. That doesn't seem very obvious to them at all.